So we brought our mesh in. The next thing I want to do is I want to subdivide it so that I can start to sculpt on it. However, the procedure is that before I do this, I may want to retain the original cage mesh the way that it looks right now. Because what tends to happen is as we subdivide it, it will apply a subdivisional smoothing method to it, in which it actually does affect your cage mesh. So what we do initially is we go down to the right hand menu, and we've got this option here which says Morph Target. And essentially what it does is it stores the way that everything currently looks right now. We click Store, Morph Target, and then we can just collapse this. At a later stage we can bring back our cage mesh to look exactly as it was before we started sculpting. So how do we start to subdivide the mesh? Very simple. There's two ways we can do this. The hotkeys are Control and D. I've subdivided it once, twice, and as you subdivide it, it will tell you how many polygons you've subdivided it by. You can see at the very top here, it says here poly count. You can also hover over the model and it gives you statistics about your model. So you can see here how many polygons it's got, points, groups. You can see that as I'm subdividing it, it appears to be more smoother each time. I'm going to press Ctrl and Z to undo my subdivisions. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the second way to subdivide it. And it's found in the Geometry tab. You expand the Geometry tab and then click on Divide. That has exactly the same effect as pressing Ctrl and D. And you'll notice that each time you divide, it tells you what subdivisional level you're currently in. You can then use the slider to move back down to your original subdivisional level. This is the base mesh. In addition to using this slider, you can use the Shift and D key. So the shortcut keys would be Shift and D to go down a subdivisional level and the D key to go up. And to add an extra subdivisional level, we press the Control and D key. But it can all be done within the menu as well. You'll have the ability to subdivide the model into multiple millions of polygons, depending obviously on your system RAM. As you can see now, we're up into the multi-millions of polygons here. The good thing about working like this is you've got the ability to quickly go down to a lower level. Let's just turn on the frame here. And then go up to another higher level and just keep on switching between the lower and higher, so that you can work on the volume of the mesh on the lower levels and you can work on the details on the higher levels. It will most likely be the case at some point you're going to be wanting to work with layers. Layers are a way in which you can control different elements of your sculpting process. I'm going to just close down the Geometry menu for the moment and we're going to go down to the layers with the right hand side. And you can see at the moment there's already some layers in there. I'm going to just get rid of these layers. So to create a brand new layer, we first subdivide the model. We click on the plus and it says here the feature requires the highest subdivisional level to be active. So in other words, we need to go to the highest level in which we subdivided it to. We click on this and a brand new layer has been created. We can give it a name And by default, as soon as you create a layer, it's gone into what's called record mode. This means anything that we do to manipulate the mesh right now is going to be recorded. I'm going to show you how to do this manipulation a little bit later on, but for now I'm just going to do just a simple stroke. And if you just to click on this record button, it takes it out of record mode and it allows you to turn on and off the visibility. If you want to start sculpting in this layer again, you simply hit the record button here and it's back into recording again. Let's just take that off and undo that. I'll show you more about what's happening in a minute. You've also got the ability to use this slider to choose how much of that sculpting layer you actually want to affect the mesh. So this is a nice way to have multiple layers and then you can merge in the details. So for instance, when I use these layers, I will have basic skin pore layer, I would have a crinkle layer, I would have a layer for additional details in specific areas, and then I can just choose how much balance I want between them. Another good advantage of using the layers is that you can actually push your sculpting beyond what you actually did. So basically it allows you to actually pull more detail out than you even put in there originally. You can of course bake down or duplicate layers at any particular point. Let's just create another layer. You can see that. And when you're ready, I'm just going to turn on this layer at the top here because I turned it off. When you're ready, if you want to, you can actually bake down these layers. Just click bake all, and now it's permanently part of the mesh. Let's just undo that and just delete these layers. We don't really want them anymore. Okay, so you can see here the simplicity of working with layers. It may have not got the complexity of what you might want on some other systems, but in its simple approach it does what it says on the can. It allows you to add layers both for sculpting and for painting, although there is some certain missing features that I definitely would like to see in the layers palette, especially to be more like working with Photoshop in its layer system.